everyone. Welcome. Give me 1 second just to get set up here. Big storm going on outside. Just got to get everything fixed. Hold on 1 second. Hey, Michelle, welcome. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining. My name is Al Schuster. I am the president of Polaris Brand Promotions. Today, we are going to be discussing experiential marketing in what's being referred to as the new normal. A little bit about our agency to start. Polaris Brand Promotions has been around since around 2016. We staff nationwide experiential marketing programs such as in-store tastings for alcoholic beverage brands. We also staff for trade shows, music festivals, street teams, and a lot more. So let me go ahead and share the presentation with you. All right, so during today's presentation, we're going to discuss, first of all, what experiential marketing is, how it has been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and how brands can safely conduct these types of tastings going forward. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what experiential marketing is. Hold on 1 second. All right. So what is experiential marketing? Experiential marketing means creating an experience for consumers to deliver your brand's message. It's a way for brands to actively engage with consumers. It allows you to do many different things that different types of traditional marketing may not necessarily allow you to, or allow you to combine into one. For instance, in-store tastings and other type of experiential marketing allows you to generate immediate sales if you're doing something such as an in-store tasting event. It allows you to directly engage consumers, to customize and personalize your brand experience, to collect consumer feedback during your event, as well as to continue the experiential activation later on through social media. It's important to note, right now, every day, consumers crave experiences. I have seen in the last few years a large drive, especially with kind of the millennial generation, towards doing more outdoor things, more things where you're getting together on an event basis. For instance, you see beer tastings and craft wine, spirits, and cocktail events popping up all over the country. Even around Philadelphia, we're seeing things such as pizza festivals, even pickle festivals, and all these different types of festivals and events, even food truck festivals, where people are getting out with their friends, with their family, and directly engaging with consumers more than they really have, in the past few years. So, a little bit more about experiential marketing in terms of, what exactly it is. And, it's not just giving out free samples, giving out items. In fact, I'm often asked a lot as an agency owner, when I tell them, hey, I do, promotional staffing or promotional marketing, like, oh, you give out, lots of free pens and free branded items. I said, no, I hire the people to actually give out those items, which is kind of a humorous way to respond, but it is the truth. Our main asset as an organization is the people that we hire. These are branding experts. These are people who work numerous different types of events all over the country, usually in big markets, whether it be, a lot of in-store tastings or a lot of different trade shows, things like that. And actually just finding the right people to present that product or service directly to the consumer, directly engage with them. So let's talk a little bit next about some of the, if I can get this going here. Some of the typical types of experiential marketing services and events that are out there. The first are tasting events, and these are kind of what our agency is known best for. We primarily work in the alcoholic beverage space doing in-store tasting events. If you're going to a Costco on a regular basis, you know that one of the big things about them is doing their in-store tastings. For our tastings, we primarily work with on-premise, which is your bar, restaurants, and nightclubs, which is where alcoholic products are consumed, as well as your off-premise, your wine and spirit shops, your beer distributors, where the product is purchased and then taken for consumption somewhere else. The next one is dry demos, otherwise known as hand selling. Now, this is something that isn't really done too frequently in the alcoholic beverage industry because you really can't, try the product. Dry demos are where you set up a table, you set up some product, you set up your branded product or merchandise, and then you just literally just talk to consumers. You don't actually sample or have them taste any product. Now, while this may not be as successful as a tasting event where you can actually taste the product, it does have the advantage where either the government regulations don't allow you to do in-store tastings, or the actual venue itself may not want to do it, maybe because of liability, or they don't have the proper license in order to do those. And the next up is festivals and sporting events. And the one example that I always like to give to everyone about the types of experiential marketing is if you ever see like a Coca-Cola or T-Mobile, and they have a large tent with a table giving away some merchandise, or trying to have you sign up for their brand, or giving away samples. Those are usually staffed by a local agency that the brand or their marketing firm hires to represent those brands, because usually those will be traveling tours that go around, like a major company will be going around from city to city to an event, and it's really not worthwhile to hire full-time people and have them go around the country. So they'll just hire an experienced agency such as ours to go and actually give those, to actually staff those events. Next up is you have street teams, where you have, if it's maybe at a large outdoor event, you'll have people going around with branded shirts, or maybe some type of billboards. We even see street teams sometimes outside of a store where they're holding up a big sign for a promotion or something like that. And also you have mascots. Mascots will work directly for the brand. They'll obviously be in a costume of some sort. They'll be at a big public event or at a sporting event, or maybe they'll be outside of a store or something else. One thing I wanted to focus on also for experiential marketing is trade shows. And I have to give a shout out to Nicole McNabb from M&E Marketing Events, who is another presenter today who did an amazing job. You should definitely speak with her if you're looking for specific marketing or strategies for your trade shows or other marketing events. So when it comes to trade shows, I usually focus on a couple of different things when I tell people about the value that a brand ambassador or promotional staff can have for your trade show. First is saving time and saving money. Usually tell people, when you staff a trade show, and you bring your people, say you're going from the East Coast to the West Coast, and you're hosting the big trade show. If you want to bring your staff, well, that's great. I mean, they know your company, they know your brand. But when you do that, you're looking at spending time and money on traveling, having the airfare or the automobile to take them across country or whatever. Then you have hotels, meals, and the big thing, which is taking them away from their main job. And then the thing about hiring an agency such as ours is when you do that, obviously there is cost involved with hiring a brand ambassador, training them to discuss your brand, but it can save a ton of money and a ton of time for those people who are in sales and marketing who may not want to work at a trade show, who may not want to be pulled away from their day-to-day responsibilities, actually, engaging with their potential consumers. The other thing I always mention about having a brand ambassador trade show is that it allows you to gather as many leads as possible. And how do I say that? Well, the one thing that annoys me the most about actually being at a trade show is when I walk up to a booth and you have 2 or 3 people that are, you know, 2 or 3 people from the company, and they're engaged in this, you can tell this is a very deep conversation with someone from the company. I'm just standing there like, okay, are they ever going to get done? You know, and I usually just get tired of waiting and I move along. Well, if you hire a brand ambassador, someone, the best way to use them is to be, you know, basically like the first stage in the sales process. You talk to them, you can play a game with them, you can interact with them, you can collect leads, you can pre-qualify them. You can tell the brand ambassador if they're interested in knowing about, you know, ABC about, you know, this brand, then, you know, have them go to the side and talk to them later on about, you know, have the salesperson from the company talk to them. The most important thing about a trade show is actually being able to collect as many leads as possible and to be able to follow up with them later on, because when you're at a trade show, you're spending valuable time and valuable money to actually you know, be there, and you don't want to miss 90% of the people that are walking by because you're just having these deep at the moment conversations with your prospects who may not even be the best ones. So let's talk next a little bit about the current state of where things are in the experiential marketing world in the new normal that COVID-19 has created. Well, as of around mid-March of 2020, essentially all promotions came to a halt, all experiential marketing, all in-store tastings. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about all the major shows and events that were canceled, either that or postponed until later in 2020 or next year. There really hasn't been a timetable set for any restarting. Obviously, in different parts of the country, you know, some areas are opening or easing restrictions sooner than others. Another thing that has been kind of a problem is that standardized safety procedures haven't been adopted across many industries. In fact, I'm sure you know, a lot of companies are looking to just reopen as a first step, as opposed to looking at different types of experiential programs that they'll allow in their store. The most important thing is just get the doors open, get people back in. Kind of, I'm sure for a lot of them that, you know, they don't want all that engagement right now and all the risks that it might pose. Some of those risks obviously are being, if a lot of people are infected at a store because of COVID-19 and they all say, oh, okay, well, I was here, you know, at this tasting or the sampling event, you know, it's going to lead to a lot of bad press for the brand and for the store itself. So there's a lot of hesitation. There's a lot of slow to get those aspects of marketing restarted. So let's talk a little bit about where at least I see the future of experiential marketing go. I'm going to start off with a little disclaimer of my own. These are opinions and not facts. These are what I feel would be best practices going forward. I'm not an attorney. I don't work in the insurance industry, and clearly across the country, there are different laws and regulations, whether it be different state laws, different municipal laws as to when things are going to be allowed to reopen, when they're going to be allowed to start. So anything I tell you is just an opinion. I should definitely speak with the different authorities that are going to weigh in on how things are conducted in the future. So some of these types of key authorities are your suppliers, your retail accounts themselves, and any governing authorities such as liquor control boards, such as any local health departments. You also have your own insurance companies. Your insurance companies may have new regulations. I'm sure after 9/11, terrorism insurance started, and you started to hear about that. Now we may have something such as a mass infection liability or some other type of health liability that insurances are going to either offer or are going to be required. So going into what our agency sees as what the new normal is going to look like for experiential marketing and in-store tastings. They are going to look dramatically different than what we've seen before. In fact, a lot of what we're starting to see now in society is going to play into experiential marketing. A lot of personal protective equipment, whether it be face masks, face guards, gloves. In addition, you're going to see things such as hand sanitizer, social distancing floor markers. You're going to see physical barriers in front of a tasting table or something like that. Now, the good thing in all this is that all those items can be branded. They can be branded with your company name, your logo, and they can also be tied into any promotional program you have at the time. It could be hashtag EventStrong or hashtag We Are Events. Those are a couple that are floating around in the event space right now. You can put those hashtags and you can theme all of these different items to what it will be, going on with these different types of promotional items. Next, we are going to start to see a lot more use of QR codes and contact-free marketing materials. I see a lot of companies and a lot of brands shying away from branded promotional products, for instance. I see them shying away from doing printed materials that you hand out. Now, granted, this may change in maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years. You may get back to seeing more of what you've seen before, just giving out items and stuff. But with that big concern about with actually engaging and interacting with people, you might see a lot less of those types of materials, at least in the short term. And the one thing that our agency is seeing a lot more of in the future, and we're a big proponent of, is prepackaged samples, where the brand ambassador may actually fill the sample cup and then seal it with a lid in bulk prior to the actual tasting event, wearing gloves, washing their hands, things like that, as well as the potential for factory sealed samples by your supplier. They may say, here's a few little, like a couple hundred 1 ounce samples of product. This may not be cost effective in all cases, but it certainly may be effective for depending upon the price point of the brand and the number and types of samples and whatever your marketing budget may be for those. And finally, we are going to see detailed safety procedures. We are going to see, frequent hand washing, frequent wiping down of stations. A lot of things that you're seeing and hearing now are going to be documented and going to be required. They're either going to be required by the brand itself, by the retail account, and as I said, perhaps by your insurance company or by some type of government regulation. So we're just about 15 minutes in. Wanted to open up the floor to any Q&A. Going to check through the chat here if anyone has any questions for me regarding your own events. I'll hit to a couple that we'd had before, comment on them. So I want to thank, let's see, we've got Gracie in the chat. We've got Michelle commenting, yes, having the right people working the right part of the event. Definitely a lot of new opportunities for branding at these events. You're absolutely right, Michelle. The best thing the brands can do right now is to have, to be adapting, to be, basically pivoting. That's a lot of what our agency is doing right now. We haven't done an event. Today is June 3rd. We haven't done one in about 2.5 months now. Our agency spent the time trying to address this through the photo shoot in the prior slide, where Suji, one of our brand ambassadors, was doing our photo shoot of what we think are going to be the safety solutions that are going to be adopted and that we're offering. So if anyone has any questions, hop them in the Q&A now. A couple other final things to go over is, hold on a sec. All right, so Michelle has a question. Can you speak a bit about how your brand ambassadors can include virtual exposure, influencer marketing before, during, and after the in-person events? Great question. Now, it all depends upon the types of events that you're doing. First of all, usually we do 2 to 3 hour in-store liquor promos, where we always tell our clients, depending upon the laws for marketing alcohol, we always say, create a Facebook event, create some type of event with your account to help promote that event. And then, with our events themselves, we have our brand ambassadors take recap photos to not only show that they were there and how they're set up and everything, but we can also use those events later on for social media. We always encourage our brand ambassadors to actually to post their pictures on social media and to hashtag their brands and that they're representing to add that value, as well as later on, during the event, you can actually collect leads. You can have a contest or sign up for our social media page. And any types of engagement before, during, or after are excellent. In terms of virtual, our agency right now, we don't focus on influencer marketing. However, we're working with Sheer Media down in Miami. There's that pivoting again, to offer influencer programs for our current and new clients. We're actually doing curated cocktails where spirits brands can have our influencers create a cocktail, do an Instagram story, something like that. So one thing that's very important for brands to know about doing experiential marketing programs is that they aren't necessarily a replacement to traditional marketing, such as print, billboards, any digital or social media. They should be in concert with them. They should complement them in a way. You should incorporate them and have all of it tie together. When you're at an event, make sure to hashtag it, make sure to make an event. If you're looking at a trade show, you should mention, the brand should mention, hey, check out, our promo people at this event, at this booth. So, at the event, the brand ambassadors and promotional models should be encouraging people to sign up on the social media. So it should all really work together to create, a total brand experience, both at the actual event and later on through like the social media engagement, things like that. So, in terms of what we see, where we see events going, obviously it's going to be a difficult time for a while. Hang in there. A lot of the best thing to do really for the event industry is to postpone, not cancel your events, or try to push them off into the future. Say, hey, look, we know what's going on in the world right now. We're moving it off until October or whatever, and still continue to engage with people, with consumers, with potential exhibitors and vendors during that, and continue to add value during that period between now and when your event is rescheduled for. Continue to add that value. So in closing, I wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to join in today. Again, my name is Al Schuster with Polaris Brand Promotions. Please feel free to reach out to me so we can help you create unforgettable and safe experiences for your brand.